What up, guys? Hey, any of you get numbness and tingling in your fingers? Hand fall asleep at night? Happens to a lot of people out there. I've had some newer clients come to me, and I've been working with them with the Newbie, which is the electronic neurological re-education machine from NewFit. And yeah, so they come to me and they say, hey, like my hands are going asleep at, are like real, like they got a lot of neuropathy. They're just not my right hand especially is not working properly, and they're right-handed. And, I start working on it with the Newbie, and I'm like, wait a second, when is this happening? She's like, it gets so bad at night. And I'm like, man, that's not neuropathy. That's just positioning is the problem. And, I can't diagnose neuropathy. I'm not a doctor, and I'm definitely not a neurologist, but I've been in this game long enough to know, plus had these issues myself, that I'll throw up some stuff on the screen, but, right in there is the carpal nerve, and it affects a whole bunch of fingers from the inside of this finger all the way out here into the thumb and in the hand. And there's another nerve that goes in the other side, right? And all the way through the other part of the hand and the wrist. But when you sleep and your hands going numb, it's most likely that. And there's some really simple things that you can do to try and make that go away that I guess not many people are telling you guys. I'm sure there's a bajillion videos about carpal tunnel syndrome on the freaking internet and YouTube. But seeing that I keep seeing people have these problems and they don't know that it's carpal tunnel syndrome or something related to that, I figured I might as well do a video because somebody should see this and it'll help them. So if your wrist is like that for a prolonged period of time, you are going to cut the connection of that nerve to the rest of your fingers. Okay? It has this little pathway, this tunnel, and then it spiders out into the fingers. Spiders out into the fingers. If you cut that circuit or that signal off, your hands are gonna go numb or they're gonna tingle, and they'll probably wake you up at night. So if that's when the problem is happening, wear a brace. So I like the brace. I've gotten a brace. I bought mine at Target, but you can get it at a bunch of different other places. I wore it for 3 months. Starts right about here, goes up to here, has this little pad area that supports the hand, and your hand stays relaxed with your wrist straight. All that does is it make it so you don't, do that at night. Now, I don't have that problem, but I also pay attention to how I go to sleep now. So you absolutely cannot, if you hug a pillow, you cannot hug it like this because your wrists are going to bend. And I also try and keep my hand open, which makes my hand go like this. Now, when you're asleep, it's harder to know where you are, but if you get in a position where you're relaxed and comfortable, you're probably gonna stay there longer than not. I also when I sleep on my side, I take a big pillow that's big enough to keep my elbow back and relaxed here so my hand could stay like this. I'm not grabbing a small pillow like that because then not only does it put my shoulder in my chin, which is a problem too, but it makes me wanna grab it with my wrist, and that's a problem. Okay, and the next thing I do is whenever I'm lifting, and this is what I've always done, but this is important, and not a lot of people talk about this part. First one that's most important that people do more wrong is I always keep my wrist perfectly straight throughout my lifts, especially with pressing. So I don't do that, and I don't overstretch the nerve, so I don't put the bar up high in my fingers. I put it right down here, and then I squeeze and straighten the wrist. That one's really important because you can also overstretch those nerves as well. And then the second thing I do when it comes to lifting that I wasn't doing before, that's probably impacted me negatively to cause that carpal issue on that side, especially since I'm right-handed, is not gripping hard enough throughout my lifts. A lot of people are relying on, the wraps on the bars. Man, I mean, that is nice in some ways, especially with like heavy deadlifts, some heavy rowing. But you're likely to cause some issues to your hands, especially in the ligaments and in the nerves when you're not gripping hard enough. You want to be able to get your fingers all the way around the bar. So I'm in my car. Let me see if I can get. So you see my fingers? Obviously, right? You want to be able to get your hand all the way around. All the way around. Like if this is my finger and that's the bar, you want to get your fingers all the way around. You don't want like all the fingers except the pinky or anything like that. You need to be able to get the whole hand around the bar, and then you want to squeeze it. Even if you're working your back and pulling to row, you want to be able to squeeze. If those muscles are engaged in the forearm, you have a lot less chance of the wrist being a problem and those nerves being a problem. If you're just letting it pull from the fingers, which I did for years, okay, because that's what was my excuse to feel my back better. And I honestly did. I felt my back better during those times. Now, that's not the case. I can grip it as hard as I want, and I'm still very connected to my back. I have good back development, so obviously it's not causing any problems with me. But it is the case. It will save your nerves when you actually engage those muscles that protect all of that tissue around the wrist and in the fingers. Those fingers are strong if you make them strong, but if you just let them get all loose as you pull, you're probably going to cause some ligament problems, strains, and nerve issues in the wrist and the hand. So those are the two lifting ones that I would say. And then when you're at work, if you're a typer, I mean, this is obviously a problem. Or with our phones, man, dude, like repetitive motions cause nerve problems. So especially if you're using your phone, which everyone's got it in their hand, try and type differently daily. Try not to use the same, maybe use your fingers here and there instead of your thumbs the same way all the time. Try not to have your wrist bent like that when you're using your phone. Make sure your hands are upright and you're straighter. If you're typing, don't let the wrist sag as you type. You're gonna cause problems for you. These repetitive motions are terrible for carpal tunnel syndrome, terrible for the nerves in the hand, terrible for the ligaments. And then the last one, when it comes to if you are a typer, if you are on the computer all the time, when you are in the gym or you're doing your at-home workouts, you need to be doing this movement. Or even better, something that extends the fingers too. Okay, there's that thing going on where you put, your fingers inside of it and open it. Man, you could do that with like a hair tie that your wife or your daughter has, or if you're a female, what you have, and just stick your fingers in between it and open that thing up. Just like that. Give yourself some work on those extensors. Or if you're in the gym, you're doing reverse wrist curls with a bar or something of that nature. Or if like boxers are notorious for this, you stick your hand in rice and then you open up against the rice. You stick your hand in rice, you open up against the rice. That's a great movement to help get that extension or the extensors. Because we're always like this instead of like this, and we're always like this instead of like this. All right? Not that simple, but also pretty simple. We could fix these problems if you don't let them get terribly out of control. We don't want to have to get carpal tunnel syndrome if you can avoid it, and you don't want to sit there and go, I don't know what's wrong with me, when it's actually a relatively simple thing that's going on. It's not necessarily neuropathy. Now, it could be. I'm not diagnosing anybody. I'm not diagnosing any of my clients. I'm just helping them get through something that could be simpler than something terrible or disease. Anyways, like the video, guys. Subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Follow me on TikTok at TJ O'Connor Fitness, Instagram at TJ O'Connor, and I got more videos coming out. If you have any questions on anything, please hit me up. I literally look at every comment. I literally reply to every single comment. And on Instagram and TikTok, same. I love the people that find what I talk about valuable. My clients in person, my clients online. If you actually want to work with me online training, email me at tjoconnor53@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram. I'd be more than happy to help you. Have a great one, guys. TJ O'Connor Fitness, out.